welcome back. Today we're going to talk about roofs, specifically the way Revit treats them. And again, like always, this topic is probably longer than 10 minutes. So this is just an introduction to what roofs are, at least as how Revit understands them. So let's get started. I'm in a blank screen in a 3D view for Revit, and you'll notice level 1. I'm going to go ahead and shift to a floor plan view, actually a northern elevation view. I'm going to draw one more elevation marker, and I'm going to call that level 2. And I'm going to actually relabel that, resize that to be 14 feet off the ground. Actually, let's make it 12 feet off the ground, and I'm going to call it roof. Yes, I'd like to reassociate that name. All right, now back in here, you'll see the two levels, level 1 and roof, right? So I'm going to draw simple box geometry of architecture. Just going to use 8-inch walls and something like that, right? Now, in the architecture tab, you'll see your options are wall, door, window, component, which we just talked about actually, columns, and roof. There's a couple options for roof, and we're going to go through all of them. So the roof by default is by footprint. You can also do roof by extrusion, roof by face, which we will cover in another video later, and then soffits, fascia, and gutters. So we're only going to cover these two today. So I lied, not all of them, just these two. So roof by footprint. So the work plane of this view cannot be used for this operation. The operation should be performed in another view, work plane. That's fine. And what it means is it wants me to choose a work plane in which to work in. So I'm going to pick a plane. In this case, I'm going to pick the roof plane. So I'm going to go back to roof, and there's several options to choose from. There's generic 9-inch, 12-inch, 12-inch filled, 18-inch steel truss, insulation on metal duct, wood rafter, 8-inch asphalt shingle. For our purposes today, we're going to choose the asphalt shingle wood rafter. To get started, you look at the properties again, and it says base level roof, room bounding, yes, base offset from level 0, cut off level none, plumb cut rafters, and the rest is what it is. Now it's asking you to choose the boundary line, and you have a new selection set. In this case, you can select using walls. So we're going to pick the walls, and just choosing a wall, and I'm choosing all 4. Now I feel like I want to back up, and using Control-Z, I'm going to undo that process. I'm going to show you another trick. If you hover over that wall and hit tab one time, it'll select all the walls, and you only click once instead of clicking each one individually. So that's a little bit faster, I think. The other thing I want to show you is by default, the roof pitch is set at 9/12. So that's for every 9 inches of rise, or every 9 inches, there's a run of 12. So 9/12. And I know that each one of these each one of these lines have that same pitch because there's that symbol that represents roof pitch on all 4. So if you're following along, you could probably recognize that this will produce a gabled roof. So a hip roof, excuse me, no gables, a hip roof. So when we hit OK, we have a pretty interesting, pretty high pitch hip roof. And so there's no gables, it's only hip. Now we can also drag down this manually to get something that you're more comfortable with, and that's certainly an option for you. If you hit edit footprint once you've done that, you'll notice that we've gotten to 4.5. So we've cut the roof pitch essentially in half. We can also program in the number that we want. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hover over the line, tab through it, and change my slope to be 3/12. Oops, I should say 3 inches over 12 inches. There we go, hit OK, and now that's the roof pitch that would be a 3/12. And notice that the walls don't actually touch the roof. So the roof is at 12 feet. I think by default the walls were set up to be unconnected 9 feet, right? So this is actually I did this on purpose to show you this process. If you select the wall, hover again, and hit tab one time, you selected all 4 walls. Notice at the top there's an option now to attach top and base or detach top and base. We're going to attach it to this roof. And it should say, well, it's giving me an error because the roof boundaries don't meet, meaning the roof is exactly the size of the walls. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to go to the footprint of the roof, and I'm going to use the offset tool. In other words, create an overhang for each one of these walls. I'm going to choose it to be 1 foot. So I want a 1 foot overhang. Actually, let's make that 18 inches. And then I'm going to offset each one. And again, you could do this using the tab to make it faster. And then now look what's happened. The walls went and touched the bottom of that roof. That's really interesting, isn't it? So it knew that was the intent. And so after I had hit OK, because I hit OK the first time, it was waiting for the roof to be in a rule that it could follow, which is meaning the wall could actually go up and touch this. Now this is really interesting. Again, without remodeling the roof, we can edit this footprint, select this line or this edge of the wall of the roof, and then I'm going to uncheck slope. And what should happen is I should have a gable at this end. And what should also happen is the wall should fill the gap or fill the void. Hit OK, and it's exactly what it did. You see how the wall extended? If I select this wall and hit detach from roof, now the wall is back at 9 feet, right? So that in this way, you can drag it up, and then you can change the profile if you wanted to, but it's just much, much faster to attach it and let Revit do the work for you. So it's really helpful in that way. And again, this thing still works. I can change the pitch dynamically, and the wall will fill dynamically. So I have a gable on this end and hip all the way around. I can change that to be no slope on that end. And now I have a true gable roof. Very, very, very useful, I think. Now, if you're doing a flat roof, right? So if you wanted to edit footprint and select all the lines and have none of them define slope, right? Now you have a flat roof. And flat roofs are interesting because honestly, it's a lot of what we do in healthcare architectures. We do flat roofs. We don't do a lot of pitched roofs in healthcare architecture. But there's no such thing as a flat roof, right? It's always sloped. In actuality, the roof probably isn't overhanging either. Most of the roofs that we have, or at least most of the roofs I design, are terminated at the end of the wall. So they're inside the walls. But I thought this would be a helpful explanation to understand how the roof command works by footprint. So I'm going to delete that particular roof. I'm going to change this guy back to 9 feet, which is what it's supposed to be, and then call that a day. The other one I was going to show you is roof by extrusion, excuse me. And so in this case, it wants us to choose a plane to extrude from. So I'm going to pick this wall as my roof plane, and don't worry about the offset. Just hit reference level roof and offset 0. Now I'm going to draw something weird, something funky. I'm going to draw an arc, something like that, but only going to arc it up to maybe the midpoint, and then I'll just draw it straight down. And then I'm going to close that geometry off. Now I'm only drawing a profile. I'm not drawing a closed object. It's not a polygon. It's just a line. Because the polygon, the profile, this is the line that the roof extends from. So hit OK, and then that is my funky roof. See what it did? Now, again, what I should have done is edit the profile so that it extends beyond those walls. So I'm going to offset that, offset this. I'm going to pull that line a little bit further down, something like that, right? So that still isn't quite right, is it? I'm going to delete that. I'm going to drag to something like there, and then use that line to create my arc. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, let's just make it really weird. Okay. All right, so the point I'm trying to make is whatever shape or profile you can think of, including a really weird sort of wavy shape, you can model. So I hit OK, there's my thing, right? And again, it's based on this wood rafter. If I really wanted it to be steel truss, it could be steel truss, it just changes the thickness or the composition of that. Now, same is true here. Select all the walls, hit attach to base, oops, attach top base, it fills in the gaps. And what you have left over is the roof. Thanks for watching. If you found this video valuable, please like and share it with others. If you're not already a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe to my channel by selecting the profile picture below. This will take you to my channel with videos like these and many others on topics such as REVIT, SketchUp, analog tools, and videos such as these in the playlist next to you that are specific to this topic. Have a great rest of your day.